From the Dallas On Air studios in beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfillment right here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your host, the Vegabomber, PJ Dunn.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Fulfillment Show. We are now in Season 3. This is Episode 10. And today, we're going to talk about some of the most promising summer movies. Now, obviously, we haven't seen these movies yet, but we've been reading, we've been maybe watching trailers, maybe friends have told us that this is coming, and we got hyped about it, so we did some Google searching. But today, we're going to tell you which ones we think are the most promising. So to my right,
Promises.
that's the 80s song. You made me promises. Knowing I'd believe. Okay, so that's a horrible version of that, but hey, I'm a karaoke king in some kind of lizard lounge somewhere. So to my right,
I expected more.
That's right.
Well, this is the 2021 summer movie preview. We all expected more.
That's right. And it's special extra because it's 2020 pent up coming out in 2021. So, but to my right sits John E Flix.
Good morning, everybody.
And that big voice behind the camera that sometimes is in your face as well as behind the camera. K-Zach.
Greetings, campers. Welcome to DallasOnAir.com.
Yes. So, well, here we are. So we're in May. We already did the Mother's Day thing, and now everybody thinks about Memorial Day weekend, and then that kicks off this big summer movie bonanza, spectacular, and all this and all that. But John, I don't know about you. I had a hard time kind of going through this list because I still feel some hangover from 2020.
Yeah. And, you know, summer releases are supposed to be big.
Yes.
Where are they?
Yeah.
It seems like all the a few of the big ones have been pushed back until fall, winter,
Yeah.
and next year.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, start releasing something,
Yeah.
you know, before the theaters fail.
Yes.
Please.
And a lot of them are already failing and are gone, and we're wondering if they'll ever come back.
Yeah, I mean, the scare that we had with Alamo going down, almost going into bankruptcy and then pulling out the 11th hour. So it's just like, no.
No, this doesn't bid well for us cinephiles who really want to go and have the full-on experience of the movie itself. Now, sure, it's nice to be sitting at home, you know, watching some of the stuff on, you know, on some of the streaming services like Netflix and whatnot. But there's some movies you just don't want to watch on a small screen. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So with that being the case, we will talk about that today. That will be our topic today. But before we jump into that, as a way for you to kind of get a sense of us and who we are and what we watch, we're going to talk about Just Seen It, which are just the movies that we have just seen here recently. So I'll start first with a wonderful film. Actually, it's a 4-part docuseries, and it's called Exterminate All the Brutes, done by Raoul Peck. So Raoul Peck is known, he's a Haitian director who's known for making gripping documentaries. Just the way he shoots them, the way he tells the story, where he uses the historical pieces, but where you don't have video and you don't have stuff that you can show, he comes up with nice visuals to help you kind of imagine what that would have looked like, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not so much a straight reenactment, but here with this one, Exterminate All Brutes, this is 600 years worth of history put into these 4 1-hour segments. And this is a history class, make no mistake. So he starts off with the idea of saying, well, history is written by the winners, but that doesn't mean that the story is accurate. And I'm like, damn, that's how he opens. And so he's gripping, he's real to the point. He's going to tell you exactly all the history that you didn't get told because it didn't fit into the history books for some reason or other. And he breaks it down. And so he has talked about this concept of like these 3 things that you see in history. Doesn't matter where in history. And that is, first, he says you'll see that the civilization will build itself up. Then you'll have colonialization. These people are better than these people, so therefore we'll go steal their resources. And then that leads to extermination. So this is taken from a book written by Sven Lundquist, who is a biographer and someone who is brilliantly smart. And he was already on top of looking at historical facts and comparing them to what we really show today in our history books. And he found many discrepancies. So Brother Peck here has gone and taken him, this Michelle Triot, Deborah Ortiz, a few other folks who also have been chronicling the lives of the Native Americans, the lives of the Irish in Europe, the way they were hated by the British and all the stuff that happened there. And then, of course, the African Americans, once they got here, when right there in the 1619 era, right around that time when the slave boats were hitting. So what's interesting about this is he puts himself in the picture, in the story, because it is a personal piece for him, being from Haiti. And Haiti is known as one of the colonies that did fight back and won against the French, that turned some things back, right? So he has that unique piece that he gets to talk about. But then, of course, the rest is coming from the book itself, Exterminate All Brutes, which that comes from the saying that when some of these guys were landing on these shores, supposedly discovering stuff, how you discover stuff that's already been there? You ain't discovered nothing, Columbus. But in the diaries of Columbus, it's let's find the minerals. Oh, and by the way, let's exterminate the brutes if they get in the way. And so from that, Lundquist wrote that book, and it's a fascinating book. So watch this sober-minded. This is a good telling of history that you don't get, because all the crap that I studied in both college and in grade school left all of this out. This wasn't there. And so it stars one key figure in Josh Harnett. He plays a soldier who is given these commands to go kill these Indians, go get those slaves and all these other things. And you just see the anguish of trying to push through with understanding why you have the commands and how it needs to be good in a certain degree, but also you're killing people. You're really literally exterminating them. And then it talks about also Hitler had the same idea. Let's exterminate the Jews. Let's get rid of the brutes here in that sense. So wonderful. I would tell anybody, if you love history, you've got to watch this. It's not just him talking about what happened to African Americans, but it's also the Native Americans, the Irish. He goes and shows you what happens once you colonize. Once you create a civilization, then you start to colonize, and then what happens after that is you start to exterminate people who you feel like are other. And it was phenomenal. I couldn't stop watching. I had to watch one of the episodes, episode 2, again, because he dropped so much science. He dropped so much history in there that I had to go back and go, yeah, I remember that. And I had to go look up some stuff. And sure enough, it's there, but never made it to history books. But we know about it. But we just didn't put it in the history books. So very good docuseries. It's by Raoul Peck. Again, it's called Exterminate All the Brutes. And if you really love history, I tell you, you could put this up against anything you've been reading and studying, and you have to say, damn, this seems like this is the other piece to this. I don't know why that wasn't included, and it makes you start to think about it. But the idea of just starting off with histories being told by the winners, that's right, that's not accurate, because they're only telling you one side of the story clearly. Yeah. So it's phenomenal, John. I really had fun with that. Have you heard of this one, Kazak?
I have not. I had no knowledge of it until you brought it up. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm curious.
Yes, HBO Max. This is on HBO Max.
I was about to ask.
So yeah, if you've bought anything lately, like if you've bought internet service or anything, it seems like all you have to do is buy something like cell phone or internet service, and all of a sudden HBO Max comes with. That's how I've got it. So 'cause I'm not paying for yet another one, but yet I have it because I just recently signed up for internet service for my apartment. So that's it. Exterminate All the Brutes, HBO Max, 4-part docuseries. And if you haven't seen some of his other stuff, you might want to watch I'm Not Your Negro, his whole taken from James Baldwin's notes and letters that never got made into a movie, but he made it and he used Samuel Jackson.
Yes.
Did you see this one, Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, same director. Now he's taken 600 years of history and putting it in 4 hours. So yeah, juicy. Johnny, what have you seen lately?
I got to follow that. Okay. So my just seen it is Coherence. It's a pretty interesting take on science fiction. It was written and directed by James Burkett, who also wrote and directed Rango, which is a pretty fun little animated movie. He was also storyboard artist on, what was it? Baby Driver and all of the Pirates of the Caribbean
Really?
movies. So he's got a decent background here, right? What I liked about Coherence is that it doesn't take place in space. These aren't adventurous people that this happens to. It's just some random anomaly occurs while 8 friends are having a dinner party, and they end up having to try to figure out what's going on. It was mostly improvised, shot in 5 days with no budget whatsoever.
Wow.
And ends up being a really awesome movie with no special effects.
Right.
Yeah, like science fiction, no special effects, no aliens, no monsters, no robots,
Right.
but knocks it out of the park. And I'm trying to avoid any kind of spoilers here because
Sure.
it's a movie you have to watch.
Mm-hmm.
What I really appreciated about it was how the movie was, all the tension in the movie was resolved without answering all the questions at the end. It still leaves you questioning some of the core concepts in the film at the end, which is really interesting.
Sure.
Which is kind of, who are we?
Yeah.
So definitely one worth watching, I think.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. So Coherence. So this came out in 2014.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So it's been out for a bit.
Yeah.
And wow, I would have never made that connection. So is it shot? So you said 5 days.
5 days.
And so is it shot mostly just in a room or something? Like how did they?
Yes.
Okay.
Most of it takes place inside the dining room and kitchen
Okay.
of a small house, and then outside at night as they're trying to figure out what's going on around them.
Okay. Wow, and that's science fiction. That's a twist. That does have me interested. So, Coherence. Well, Coherence, everybody. 2014 is when it came out. So, let's check that one out. How about you, Kazak? What have you been watching lately?
Well,
Why was there a sign there?
well, you guys came in with all this wonderful heady stuff and brilliance, and you're coming off strong, and I'm coming in with Army of the Dead from Zack Snyder. We're
Wow,
getting
what a
it.
lead-in.
We're getting the Netflix release on this one. It got released to theaters and got released to Netflix about a week later.
Okay.
So what this is it's basically Dave Bautista leading an Ocean's 11 style bank heist into the vaults of Las Vegas, into the underneath vaults of Las Vegas, surrounded by zombies and the dead. That's pretty much it. I'm not good that there. You don't need to know a lot of plot, and if you go in with no expectations, you won't be disappointed.
Oh wow, that's the theme since 2020, right?
Because what you're going in with is basically you're getting an Ocean's 11 style bank heist with zombies. Okay, I'm good with this. Directed by Zack Snyder. Okay, like Zack Snyder's been
Let them eat.
miss. It's just been miss. It's been brutal to watch. But this is basically him kind of coming back to that Dawn of the Dead form, which is just basically well choreographed violence. Some wonderfully gory action sequences. Just if you go in looking for a zombie movie combined with the bank heist, you're not going to be disappointed. Don't go in with any expectations of this being a great film, because it's not. But if you go in watching the trailer and seeing a zombie tiger, yes, for someone who likes to see, okay, zombie tiger, I'm in for this. Zombie showgirls, okay, I'm in for this. Give me the zombie titties and the bank heist and give me all that, and I'm fine. Yeah, it's not a real traditional zombie film because you don't have a bunch of shambling zombies. You do get the fast-running, high-thinking zombies. Okay, fine.
Like 28 days.
Okay, yeah, kind of 28 days later. Okay. Yeah, with a social structure. So, not a typical zombie movie, but it's brutal, it's violent, and it's dumb, and it's fun. So it's basically a popcorn movie. Just go in if you want a zombie movie, if you want an action flick, if you want to see Dave Bautista literally snap a romantic subplot in the neck. Fine, that's go in. Just don't care. You go into your documentary with a sober mind, and you go into yours with coherence with an open mind. I say go into this with a beer, maybe some edibles, some shrooms, go in loaded. Don't expect greatness. Just go in and enjoy a really stupid movie. It's fine. It's fine.
So it sounds like he's describing Dumb People Die, the movie.
No, I'm going in. What basically it's if you ordered Aliens off of Wish and put it into a zombie film.
Oh no!
Yeah. Think I'm lying,
Oh no! I
but
think
it's almost literally Vasquez dying. I
no.
hate to say spoilers, but yeah, that's just.
Oh no!
Just go in and expect nothing, and you won't be disappointed.
Dave Bautista, why did you sign up for this? Surely this
Because money.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Because of money.
2020.
and there's a wonderful story about how Tig Notaro was actually put into the film. I'll tell this one real quick. Basically, there was a comedian named Chris D'Elia. Chris D'Elia, kind of big stand-up comic, on the way up. He gets busted basically online chatting to underage girls. So they completely
that'll do it.
So they completely edit him out of the film. Completely edit him out of the film and replace him digitally with Tig Notaro.
Okay.
And they cover it up well. It really
okay.
It really is. You can't if you don't know that going in, you don't see any difference. But you can kind of see visually how they edited him out.
So there's some craft to this a little bit with all the dumbness. Okay.
Kudos to Zack Snyder on that, man, for kind of stepping up.
Okay, well, we'll give him that because I know how much you love Zack Snyder.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything, so
Yeah.
we have to go
yeah.
with that. Well, then let's give it to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that part of the show that you're ready for. We're going to talk about that main topic, and that main topic today is going to be, once again, the most promising movies for the summer season as we are about to go into it. So with that, I need to make a couple of distinctions and say a couple of things because this is 2021. So some of these movies that are coming out, some are coming out as a theatrical release first, right? And then a month afterwards, then they'll go ahead and put it on HBO Max and all the other stuff. Some of these movies are going to hit the theaters and the streaming services at the exact same time. And then there's a few of these movies that were meant to be theatrical releases, which are not going to get a theater release. They're just going to go straight to streaming anyway. So this would be Kevin Hart's film Fatherhood. They just decided not to do a theatrical release.
Okay.
It's just going to be on HBO and or one of the streaming services. And then Chris Pratt's The Tomorrow War is not going to make it to the theaters. It's going to go straight to the streaming services. So,
what? I wonder what that says. I wonder what that says about either the film or the drawing power of Chris Pratt.
see, and Kevin Hart, people love him. I think he's just okay, but these guys are going to just skip the theater altogether and just go straight to the small screen. So, with that, just know that the studios then are telling you with that they're still experimenting. They're still in experiential mode because they want to be playing it cautious because they, again, with their bigger vehicles that they want to release, they're hoping to really knock it out the park with the money. So they want to see what kind of money comes in during the summer because this is supposed to be the best time to make a lot of money if you're a IP property that's well known that would be considered or classified, if it wasn't for the pandemic, a summer box office.
Right.
So they just are sitting back playing that game, Johnny, to see, well, let's see what happens if Quiet Place and all them can do well before we release some of this greatness that we probably won't see till fall or 2020.
Yeah.
So that's the game that we understand that the studios are playing right now. But, boys and girls, the upside to that is we still were able to go in there and find a few. So, Johnny, let's start with you. Give us one. We'll just go one and go all the way around. So give us one of the movies that you're looking forward to that you think is pretty promising for the summer.
Okay, well, starting off with a science fiction film.
Okay.
Also, again, no aliens, no robots, no nothing like that.
Huh.
This one is written and directed by Christopher McBride,
Okay.
who couldn't really find a lot about him, but he seems to have done a faux documentary previously. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little interested to see what he can come up with for this. Mm-hmm. But in flashback, it seems to be revolving around a recreational drug. The main character starts having flashbacks, memories about this girl in high school who disappeared. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it revolves around this drug that they were taking then. Mm-hmm. So he somehow takes it and actually goes back in time, like in himself, I guess.
Okay, so he's
No
flashing back.
time machine, yeah, and can figure out this mystery of what happened to this girl. I guess one of the things that interests me about it is actually the main character, who's played by Dylan O'Brien, was in the Maze Runner films. So it'll be interesting. Fairly young guy. Not sure how good of an actor he really is. I only saw the first of the Maze Runner films, but seemed to be okay. So let's see. From the trailer, looks like a much more dramatic, intense film. So I think that will be interesting. And I guess tying it back into something I've watched previously, very long time ago, it kind of reminds me of having a Jacob's Ladder kind of feel to it.
Okay.
So
Wow,
I don't.
Okay. Jacob's Ladder.
For those of you that never watched Jacob's Ladder, it's pretty obscure film at this point in time, I suspect.
Yeah, not the remake, but the good one with Tim Robbins.
Yes, with Tim Robbins.
That's a phenomenal film.
So, and if you haven't seen that, go watch that. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think that it has that same kind of vibe to it of trying to figure out what happened in the past, but not fix it.
Okay. Wow.
So,
Okay. It's called Flashback.
yeah.
Okay. How about you, K-Zach? What do you...
All right. So my first one is one from a director I don't know a lot about. It is The Green Knight. This one comes from a director named David Lowery. Again, I don't know a lot of his stuff. He's the director of like the remake from Pete's Dragon and stuff like that. But he's an editor, writer, director.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one tells the tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Stars Dev Patel in the lead role. It's the story of one of King Arthur's knights who answers a challenge to basically behead this Green Knight, and in 1 year he'll come back and behead him. Anyway, from what I can see, the visuals, it's a really dark and moody telling of an Arthurian legend, and really it kind of gives it the treatment that it deserves, because you're getting a whole bunch of mysticism and dark forest stuff and just really kind of really dark overtones.
Okay.
Again, I don't know a whole lot about the director, but from what I can tell, it's really kind of very moody and dark and visual. But again, like I said, giving a medieval tale, things like that, this is kind of the way you want to go in. We're not getting that big kind of shiny John Borman, and we're not getting the frenetic pace of a Guy Ritchie King Arthur bullshit nonsense. You're going to get I think a moody tale of sorcery and danger and things like that, which, if you go in for Arthurian legends, if you go in for, the sword and sorcery stuff, this one doesn't look bad. This one, I think has some promise. Again, a lot of what we took a look at for this year, this one I'm interested in. It looks visually interesting. It looks like it's going to be a fun story. And again, Dev Patel, not necessarily the traditional style that you would cast as a knight. It looks like an interesting casting choice. It looks like it's going to be an interesting visual choice. I could go in for this one.
Okay. So it's called Green Knight and Ham.
The Green Knight. The Green Knight. Not Sir Gawain the Green Knight. although if you want that movie, there is a Sean Connery Sir Gawain and the Green Knight from like the 1970s, and it's terrible.
Oh, well.
It's terrible. But like I said, it's another telling of that story, and this one looks wonderfully dark and moody.
Okay.
The technology finally catching up with the story. So,
Okay. So it's one of those. Well, the film that I picked now, I picked three really, I guess these are pretty close to neck and neck, but I'll just go 3, 2, 1 and go that way. And I'll just start with the fact that the movie is Candyman. So I'm actually pretty interested in this. So this is a direct sequel to the original 1992, although it's the fourth film in that whole series based off that book that was written by Clive Barker called The Forbidden. So I'm interested in this because the original guy, Tony Todd, is going to be in it. So that's good when you bring back some of the originals and put them in it. And so now we just have this idea that there's this artist that wants to go move to the Cabrini Green towers, and this is supposedly where Candyman had lived and all that stuff. And so again, this is that whole thing about if you say his name 5 times, because apparently he's hard of hearing. If you say Candyman in a mirror 5 times, shit goes crazy, is what I understand. So I'm excited. I saw the trailer. The trailer is intoxicating. I think right now horror movies have the inside track because they're made cheaply at a time where but at the same time they have a spectacle aspect to them, right? So before this, all the action films had the spectacle of all the speed and trucks and people fighting on top of things and all this sort of thing. Well, horror movies also have the spectacle, and it's that spectacle of the, gotcha, and when is it coming, and where is it coming from, and who could it be coming from, and all of that. And if you can get some really good acting to go with it, I kind of think you should see some really good horror films. And then because they don't need a $200 million budget like CGI films need, you just get some cogent people to get together and just tell stories about things that actually spook you. I could see this blowing up and getting even better as you get more people into it. So this film is directed by Nia DaCosta, but it's written and produced in part by Jordan Peele of Key and Peele. So we know him from doing Get Out and Us. Yeah. So for having him to be the backbone to help get the story off the ground and keep the aesthetics clean, then the rest is just up for Nika DaCosta, which I don't think I've ever seen any of her films, Nia DaCosta. So, but I'm excited. I think this is something that I actually really want to see, and I think this could be a really good horror film, basically giving you the basics. You got to have somebody who's crazy, and there's got to be people who don't believe that there's crazy, and then they get got, and so you have to see it. It's like, again, dumb people die. It's the movie, right?
Yeah, and again, Jordan Peele being behind this is a big deal because
Super huge.
I think they were trying to get this remade for quite a while, and like I said, Candyman is a very big deal in not only just horror but the history of black horror. I was
Horror noir.
Yeah.
On Shudder, right?
Yeah, going back to that, hearing some of the talk of that, going back and talking to filmmakers and Tony Todd, things like that. It's a huge impact film. So getting a new take on it, it's going to be interesting. I'm a little curious. I'm a little interested that you went for horror and I didn't this time around. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting take. I don't know if I'm going to go see it in theater, but I'll definitely give it a look once it hits. Because Candyman's not necessarily a big spectacle horror film. It's kind of an intimate, almost love story, to be honest with you. At least the original was.
Sure.
So, like I said, I don't know if this one's necessarily going to need a big screen, but it's definitely going to be an interesting look at a film.
Oh, I want to see this in the big screen because if for not only just the sound stage.
Really?
Because in most horror movies, the sound is incredible because the sound is part of what makes it scary, more so than the images. So at home, unless you've got a really nice surround sound, right? Because to me, when they capture this well, they make sure that you hear the sounds that are in the background, the sounds that are in the foreground, and the sound that might be coming in the front as a way to kind of psych you up, right? And so I like it when I can hear the rustling, but it doesn't sound like it's coming at me full front. It sounds like it's coming from the side because now I'm starting to go, does that... you start to get a little spooked, like that sounded like that came from behind me. And you almost want to look away from the screen so I think because of sound design, if he's good with this, and I think he is, I got to go because I want to hear how he's going to do the sound. Like to me, when I watch horror movies, the visuals don't do it. I mean, that's not what's scary to me. It's like, okay, guy's going to jump out. It's a fake prosthetic suit. But to me, if you can make me think I'm there, sound really does it for me. So I'm interested. And that reason only.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not going to be this huge spectacle, but the way the sound is on this, I'm very curious to see. So you've got a guy.
The bees.
Yes. And you've got a guy, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was Black Mantis, I think. No, he was in Frank Snyder's, oh gosh, I am already blanking on it. Frank Snyder's, you know which one it is. The movie adaptation he did of the superheroes, the dystopian superheroes.
Now you're gonna make me look it up.
Okay.
Now you're gonna make me look it up.
Gosh, with the smartest guy, and you had there was a female with him, and then there's, gosh, why am I blanking up? Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, Watchmen. Yeah.
Oh, he's in the TV series, or?
Yes, and then also Lakeith Stanfield is in this, and so he was the guy who played in Judas and the Black Messiah, who played, the Judas. So he'll be in there as well.
Yeah, he is Black Manta. That's true. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Johnny, what else? What else is out there that you wanted to see?
Okay, this one's a little different for me. Again, choices were low. This one is called CODA,
Okay.
which is an acronym for Child of Deaf Adults. So this one is written and directed by Sean Heder, who wrote and directed Orange is the New Black. So she's already a pretty good heavy hitter there. So that caught my attention. This is a story about a 17-year-old girl. Her entire family, both of her parents and her brother, are deaf. She's not. And they're a commercial fishing family in the Northeast, but she's growing up. And in school, she's a phenomenal singer. And so you can see already the tension that's going to create. I happen to have had conversations before, and I understand that there can be a lot of conflict in the deaf community where parents that are deaf don't want their children to get cochlear implants and things like that. They want, because there's a distinct culture involved. So going into this film, I'm looking at it going, okay, so I can see where there would be a great deal of tension with this girl who loves music and is very good at singing, and her parents and her brother aren't a part of that world at all. So the story has, I think, some timely aspects to it. It looks like through the trailer and listening to the director that there's some financial issues for the family with their fishing business and things of that nature. And this young girl who's getting ready to try to figure out who she is and go out into the world on her own wants to explore music, but is also struggling with the feeling that she's abandoning her family.
Okay.
So that one looks pretty interesting to me. I don't think it's one that I would normally go after, but I think it has some potential.
Okay. Yeah. So it's called CODA.
CODA, that's
And it
correct.
stands for what again?
Child of Deaf Adults.
Okay. Wow.
So the actress that plays the mother, forgive me for not remembering her name off the top of my head at the moment. She's a very popular deaf actress.
Okay.
Marlee Matlin?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with the father or the brother at all, but they're both deaf also.
Okay.
So they're legitimately deaf, and I think it could. I think it has some promise because of that.
Okay. Yeah. How about you, Kazak?
All right. So for me, you and I are gonna, I think, talk probably back up music documentaries here, probably here in a second. The one that I've chosen, like I said, there are two things that'll always go for a documentary on. One of them is professional wrestling. The other one is music and obscure music and things like that. And this one, we're getting a first-time documentary from director Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright, if his name is attached to anything, I'm on it. This one's interesting. This is a movie called The Sparks Brothers, and what it talks about is this duo of songwriting brothers, the Mayo brothers, who basically have been making music for about 50 years. They're a very prodigious band that they're basically your favorite musician's favorite musician. They're a band that's influenced stuff like New Order, Depeche Mode, the Smiths, things like that. Sonic Youth. Basically, they're kind of an electronic new wave bass duo that's been making just weird, eclectic music. They've worked with stuff like Jane Wheatland from the Go-Go's. They've worked with a whole bunch of people. But like I said, they've been making music for about 50 years, 28 albums. But again, like I said, they're known that you might not have heard of, or like you've heard them in obscurity, but they're a band that really kind of influences musicians that you know. So you're getting a whole bunch of those people like Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and let's see, I'm trying to remember who else is. They're doing stuff with, they're doing interviews with Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, Weird Al Yankovic, Fred Armisen, Mike Myers, just basically all these people who have been influenced by this kind of weird underground electronic duo of songwriting brothers who've basically been making music for 50 years. And so it kind of goes deep in depth into kind of like how new wave and synth kind of got formed with these guys at the base of it. So, and again, with Edgar Wright at the helm of this documentary, I'm totally in for, a fast-paced, interesting look at these two guys who create weird stuff. And I'm good with it. And again, like I said, weird, obscure music, yeah, it's kind of up my alley. Because I listen to podcasts like No Dogs in Space and things like that, which talk about weird, obscure music. So, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm good with it.
Kind of like the modern day, the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Think like the Wrecking Crew, but in almost a sense like ABBA, and the fact that you have just weird kind of underground stuff. So yeah.
So what was the name of it again?
It's called the Sparks Brothers. The band is
okay.
Yeah.
I saw that on the upcoming releases and kind of went, okay, and passed it over. But I'll have to take another look at that then.
Yeah, their big song was a song called "This Town Isn't Big Enough for the Both of Us," and it's got kind of weird, just high-pitched vocals and weird electronics and things like that. That's the only thing that I know them from. But again, with all these people coming in and saying, okay, they're a big influence on my life, okay, I'm interested to see how they influenced your creative process and see theirs. So that's what kind of does it for me. And again, with the director who's going to put this thing together, yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. We're definitely talking about music because the one that I saw on there that makes a lot of sense is, to me, the movie Respect, the story about Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Because let me take you there, okay? If you're going to do a movie about James Brown, called Get On Up. If you're going to do a movie about Ray Charles. If you're going to do a movie about Elton John, Rocket Man, and if you're going to do a movie about Freddie Mercury and Queen, then you have to do the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. No way this movie does not get made. So I love this. You got Jennifer Hudson, who's a great talented individual and singer herself. She's going to play Aretha Franklin. You have some great people in this film like Mary J. Blige, who has a successful singing career right now that we know of, that we grew up with, I grew up with. Marlon Wayans, one of the Wayans brothers, is in this. Forrest Whitaker is going to play her father, Reverend Franklin. Queen Latifah's in this film. This has got everybody in this film that you want to see. So if you will, I think this is great. The idea here is that, you have this young girl who could sing at the age of 10. She was hitting vocals. Her vocals were so good at 10 that she could make people cry at the church that she was singing in. Okay, she had this type of mood, energy, that in her vocal pipes, you felt the mood of the song. And so this should be a fun story of showing us how she came up with that spectacular song that everybody knows. It's karaoke to everywhere in the terms of respect. And I think even in a piece in there where you hear them in the song Respect, where they go, Ree, 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 Ree. Ree is their nickname. And so they connected that for me in the trailer. I'm like, oh, so that's what Ree is. Aretha Franklin, they just called her Riri for short. And so that appears in the song, right? So you get to see the story of this girl who just doesn't realize that she has this much talent in her voice. She just thinks she's, singing, and then she's just doing the right thing for her father's church and that sort of thing. And then, of course, like most of these types of movies where they come from a church background, it's going to be them wanting to break free and sing regular tunes and not just church tunes because they could make some money, support their family, get their family out of whatever. And, of course, that doesn't make the Reverend very happy because he's like, no, don't be doing this for profit. This is about you being able to sing, use your voice for the Lord. And she's like, but I can do even more. So it's a wonderful idea that they put together. I'm glad that they decided this. I was wondering who's the next big singer that they're going to do. And so this makes total sense. They definitely have to get this going. So Aretha Franklin, I'm all in. I've got to see this. The director I've never heard of. It's Liesl Tommy And then the story is written by Kelly Corey and Tracy Scott Wilson. So I haven't heard of them, but I can tell from looking at this, if these are all females, then this is great because they're going to have that understanding of what she went through as a woman in the 60s and growing up in the 50s as a kid and as a black woman. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be good. So this comes out in August 13th is when it's scheduled. So I'm going to be there and I'm going to see this in the theater because Jennifer Hudson can sing. I just got to hear how close can she get to it, or are they going to lip sync? Like the way Remy Malik lip synced. But I want to see if she sings. But I'm willing to bet you don't get a singer.
You got to believe if it's Jennifer Hudson. That's gonna be the prime.
That's what I want to believe. But I just want to go make sure that they don't pull a fast one. But I don't think they will. I think we'll definitely see Jennifer, and I want to see can Jennifer pull off the soul? Because again, when you're trying to just sing and cover a song, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to cover Aretha, she's on several different other levels in terms of octaves and her vibrato and everything else that she does and just her feeling. So I want to see if she can do that because Jennifer Hudson's not a child of that era. She'd be a child of where there's electronics that can clean up your voice and do all this great stuff. Not to say that takes away from her, but it'll be interesting to see if she can make that transition, and do that. So Aretha Franklin isn't called the Queen of Soul for no reason. So that's one of mine. Johnny, your last one.
Okay, this is the one. I'm an action film guy. I love action films, but I like them to be intelligent. So this one's got my interest, and I'm really hoping. I mean, it's got all the right elements here. The Protege. Okay, it's coming out on August 20th. What if I just looked at the trailer, I'd go, okay, whatever, another action film. What really got my interest is the writer and the director, not just the cast. So the writer is Richard Wenk, who has written both of the Equalizer films, The Mechanic, tons of other action films. We know he can do it.
Yep.
The director is Martin Campbell, who directed Casino Royale, GoldenEye, so 2 Bond films, along with The Foreigner with Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan, which was actually a really good film, I thought. It's not the adrenaline pumping action films that we're getting flooded with these days. Unfortunately, this one is going to be an adrenaline pumping action film. So the cast also looks really good to me. We've got Samuel L. Jackson, but he's the mentor in this one.
Okay.
And Maggie Q is actually the protagonist of this film.
Okay.
With Michael Keaton as the antagonist.
Okay.
So Michael Keaton can knock that out of the park any day of the week.
Yeah.
We know he can do a good antagonist. So it's got all the right elements, I think. To me, the one question is, just from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be like Guy Ritchie level adrenaline. So I'm a little hesitant, but I'm still kind of excited to see this one. Probably one I would want to see in the theater, because how can you take in that much action without a little bit of depth?
Yeah.
So
well, that makes sense. That makes sense. We'll create a new shirt that says action and no distraction, right?
I saw the trailer on that one because I knew nothing about it, and I kind of shook my head, just like, you don't have me, but
if I had
Maggie Q, Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Keaton, the cast, okay.
If I had just looked at the trailer, I would totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that the combination of the writer and director makes it something actually enjoyable.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
It might be enjoyable. It might be just that someone where you kick back and enjoy.
It's a summer action film. It's the
There it
only.
is.
It's the
There it
only summer action film. Please start releasing the movies.
How about you, K-Zach?
Well, you got the summer action film. I got the summer superhero movie. And it's not Black Widow. It's the Suicide Squad. Okay. Commence the eye roll now.
I'm an eye roll so
Commence
hard
the
I
eye
can see
roll
outside. Oh.
Okay. But hear me out because I'll
guess we
defend
have
I'll
to.
defend my choice, and I'll defend my choice with 2 words: James Gunn. James Gunn, the guy from the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, but also Super, and a whole bunch of trauma stuff. I'm because he's a trauma guy. I'm in. But what I was gonna dismiss this one. I was not in until I saw the trailer, and the trailer's hysterical. You have Idris Elba, John Cena, Margot Robbie coming back as Harley Quinn, Viola Davis coming back as Amanda Waller. And you have a whole bunch of stuff. You got Michael Rooker coming in, who is a steadfast part of the James Gunn world. You have Sylvester Stallone in a voiceover role as King Shark, and he's Rocky level voice base of stupid. All of it just basically looks insane and dumb and crazy. Again, I'm not going in with any real great expectations, but this one looks
Probably
fun.
smart.
I'm going in with this one. It looks fun. The last Suicide Squad movie took itself way too seriously and completely screwed up the dynamics of any Joker Harley relationship. If you know the comics of the animated series, it was just god awful. But with this, okay, I'll give you the chance. I'm going to give you the chance to disappoint me. I'm going to give you the chance to make me angry that you took my money. But that being said, you've got some favorites in here that have made the movie look fun. And you have James Gunn underneath it, who is a guy who's not necessarily in there just to make a comic book movie, just to make money. He's there to make a comic book movie succeed because he cares about these properties and he cares about these characters and he cares about making a fun film. I mean, he's not just in it to get a paycheck. He's in it to get something fun on film. And that's what I really enjoy about James Gunn, is the fact that he's just a guy who really enjoys making fun movies for people who want to see fun movies. I'm
Why
so
wouldn't you
much-
want to make a movie fun? But I'm with you.
Not every. Well, I mean, you can see some movies are just in it for the friggin' paycheck. I mean, Captain Marvel, come on.
For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But even they think that movie's fun.
The Amazing Spider-Man, paycheck.
Oh my
paycheck,
God.
paycheck.
Yes. Yes.
But
Thor
for this-
2 paycheck.
But when you got the guy who's got behind Guardians of the Galaxy, who was able to take some sub-level superheroes and elevate them well and put them on a comedy level and things like that. Because PJ, I know how much you hate comedy, superhero movies. I can see it in your eyes. I can see the eye roll. But with this one, let the comedy. You kind of got to let the comedy shine. Because
Suicide Squad doesn't sound like something that's funny.
well, again, like I said, it's a cast of supervillains who are basically saying, "Look,
Oh, I know what they are.
you live, you get 10. You live through this mission, you get 10 years off your sentence. If you don't, you die." Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
A little
but-
morbid humor never hurt anybody, right?
No. And I think
Lot-
that's fine. If that's what they want to do.
Gallows humor with supervillains who have nothing to lose as the heroes.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I'll let you tell me how that is because I have no desire to see a movie like that.
Oh, don't worry, it'll be dumb.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
It'll be dumb and I'll be drunk. It'll be dumb and I'll be drunk. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I mean, thinking here for a second, it would be fantastic if they took the Deadpool approach to actually making fun of the previous one, like Deadpool made fun of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
That could be good.
Oh, if only they took shots at Jared Leto. If only they took shots at Jared Leto. Wait, literally took shots at Jared Leto. That'd be fine. Okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
We'll say that. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
All right, PJ, what you got?
So my last one is the one that's actually coming out next week, which some of you will be able to get passes and go see it on Wednesday, the 26th. And I might try to get in line for that to go see this because I'm actually excited, like old school excited how we used to be when a movie came out. And this is Quiet Place 2. So if you haven't seen Quiet Place, you need to go watch it. So this movie is directed by John Krasinski. Yes, that John Krasinski. And it's starring him. It starred him. He died in the first one in Quiet Place 1. But in Quiet Place 2, it's the surviving parts of his family, played by his wife, Emily Blunt, in real life. And then the 3 children that they have. And so the premise of the first one was that there's been this situation where these creatures have come to Earth, but they have super hearing, and if you move or knock anything or step on anything or open a door and it squeaks, they hear it and they're on you faster than fast. So we got to see in Quiet Place 1, how do you do a world where you silence everything, hoping to not make noises to get around so that this thing can't find you? Well, Quiet Place 2, and I love that they're not just going to stick with just that. What they're going to show us now is that now that they've figured out that how to keep from being hunted by these particular creatures, they're learning that there's other things they need to worry about. And so you've got guys like Cillian Murphy who's going to be in this as well now. And so I'm imagining that what they're talking about is that the people are probably the other problem. Because in the first one, you know, it was all about if a person lost their wife to one of the creatures, then they would usually just scream out loud so that monster would come get them because they just want to live. So I got to imagine there's got to be some double cross with this group of people that you have here now. So you've got Cillian Murphy in here playing a guy named Emmett. Noah Jupe comes back as one of the children, and Millicent Simmons plays the child that's deaf. In the first one, she's going to be obviously still that here as well. Lauren Ashley is going to play Emmett's wife, Cillian Murphy's wife. And then one of my favorites, Jaimin Hansu, who you might remember from Gladiator. He was the African warrior. You may remember him from many of different films. He's been in so many different deals. Blood Diamond with Leo. So I'm a big fan of Jaimin Hansu. He was just born a little too early. If he'd have been born a little bit later, I think he would have been a perfect Black Panther, but he was too old to play Black Panther. That's a hot sports take opinion, but it's out there because he's a little too old for that. But Boseman did well, so I'm not taking it from him. So again, what I love about this film, and what I think is key about this film, is this one is crafted. Okay, so this isn't just here's the problem, here they go, people scream, run on cue, run off the edge of the green screen. This isn't that. This is them still playing with and exploring the idea of what happens when things are completely silent, and you're worried about your every move, because if you didn't tamp everything down, what if you touch something that isn't and it makes noise? And so we know in the first one, Emily Blunt's character was pregnant, and very pregnant, 9 months pregnant. And so it was like, how in that first one can she have a baby with a whining, crying baby and not be found out? And so all the stuff that they had to do just to it's like very intelligent how they tamped everything down as much as they could, so you couldn't, but you all knew watching that first one, there ain't no way they're going to be able to keep that baby quiet the whole time, right? So there's that kind of stuff that just drew you in, stuff that you could foresee coming, and just you wording about it before the scenes actually popped up really grabbed you in the first one. So I'm hoping this in the second one, they continue with that same thing. And then, of course, I want to see what happens as they meet other people who've also survived. And are those people good people, or are they people who will summon you just to get ahead or something like that? So super excited about this film. I like the first one. If y'all did you see the first one? Did you guys see the first one at all?
I have not.
I am ashamed to admit that I haven't.
Yeah.
It's been in my queue forever, and I just haven't sat down and watched it. So I think it's time that I definitely.
You definitely need to watch it, because everything you're going to hear about this weekend, because Memorial Day weekend is coming up next weekend, is this movie, because it's going to be preparing. It was supposed to come out last year in April, I think. And so this is one of the 2020 movies that got pushed back to 2021, and that's another reason why I want to see it. So evidently the pre-sales for this has already broken box office numbers for considering of all the movies so far after the pandemic. It's already done like 40 to 50 million already in pre-sales already in terms of tickets. So this might be the one that might get there faster, or might help show that it's viable. We need this movie to do well, y'all, so that those other movies get released. So You guys go out when this movie comes out. Y'all go see it. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. John Krasinski has shown that he's not only just a good comedic actor or an actor, he's very good at directing too. So you'll see that here. And then who doesn't want to look at Emily Blunt? I mean, you know. And the child actors are not
because he has to see her over and over again.
Yeah.
And over and over again. And over and over again.
right? Day after tomorrow, whatever they called it, finally, right? So that's it, folks. That's the summer preview. We think that any one of these could do it for you. There's some obscure ones in here. There's some ones that you might think universally are great, and then there might be some middle tier movies in here, but this is what we got for 2021, so we're just going to have to try to enjoy that. So what do you think? Why don't you put in the comments, what are the movies that you're looking forward to? And then did you agree with some of these? Did you disagree? It's all good. It's all for the conversation. So, Johnny, with that, who you shouting out to?
To my son sitting out there because he's been really good and really quiet for us,
Yeah.
which is
Treated
impressive.
he's
So,
treated like a quiet place, huh?
yeah.
That's awesome. K-Zach, who you shouting out to?
I do want to shout out to all other shows here on DallasOnAir.com, particular shout outs to Jansen and Kat, who have been, I think they're celebrating their 10th anniversary, so being together, so awesome for them. But yeah, do check out all the great shows here on DallasOnAir.com, including we're doing a special edition of Isle of Toys and Rent Core Pit right after this because we had preempt for last week, so we're going to bring those shows to you right after the show here. So do stay tuned on DallasOnAir.com and of course on our Facebook. So, like I said, like us, check out all the other stuff here that's on the network, including Fan and Wife, including Figment You Still Explain Mysteries podcast, including, of course, Isle of Toys, the Rancor Pit, which are our counterparts here on Talk Nerdy to Me Sundays. You can also check out 12-Pack, Best for Business, Say Something, all the kinds of great stuff that's right here on DallasOnAir.com.
It's great. And so my shout's going to go to Lauren Wiedauer, Sean Presley, Tristan Frazier, Harry Thomas, Troy Ross, Michael Paul, Daniel Meza, Mad Mel, of course, the film samurai himself, Carlos, where are you? And how about Stephanie Crane, Scott Laney, and Sandra, and of course, Brandy and Barry, awesome couple that really loves movies as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. We will be back in June. Again, it's the second and the fourth Sundays that we show up. So the second and fourth Sunday in June, we will be here, and we got even more to tell you about as the summer progresses. So we'll see you then.
Peace.